Sirens blaring through neighborhoods, families fleeing with only the clothes on their backs, and entire towns vanishing under muddy, surging water. This is the new American reality unfolding across dozens of states in 2025. As rivers overflow their banks and cities struggle to drain streets that have become rushing torrents, the question is no longer if climate change is real but how much worse it will get. From Vermont's unexpected summer deluge to the Texas Gulf Coast drowning under relentless rains, the U.S. has been battered by back-to-back floods that are not just rare, they're record-breaking, both in volume and devastation. These floods didn't wait for hurricane season or follow historical weather patterns. They arrived early, stronger, and utterly unpredictable, sending emergency management systems into chaos. Scientists are sounding alarms louder than ever, pointing directly at rising global temperatures as the root cause. Warmer air holds more moisture, leading to heavier rainfall, and as sea levels creep higher, storm surges become more violent and far-reaching. Combine that with aging infrastructure, outdated flood maps, and zoning laws that allowed homes and entire neighborhoods to be built in flood-prone zones, and you get the perfect storm that Americans are now living through. The Mississippi River Basin has breached multiple levees this year, displacing thousands in Illinois and Missouri, while the Northeast, once considered relatively immune to climate-driven flooding, has seen devastating flash floods shutting down cities in hours. It's no longer about coastal regions alone. Floodwaters are rising inland, surging through communities hundreds of miles from any ocean. These aren't isolated events. They're part of a deadly pattern that's growing more aggressive each month. In California, the atmospheric rivers that brought hope for an end to drought turned catastrophic, dumping so much water so quickly that reservoirs burst and mountain towns were cut off from emergency help for days. Meanwhile, Florida's drainage systems buckled under pressure as rapid urban expansion met unstoppable rainfall, and Miami streets resembled canals more than roadways. Insurance companies are now fleeing flood-prone areas, refusing coverage, and pushing homeowners into impossible choices: stay and risk everything, or abandon their communities forever. For the people caught in this climate disaster loop, every storm feels like rolling dice against nature. One wrong move, one missed warning, and lives are lost. It's a brutal new normal, and yet the federal response remains slow, reactive, and painfully bureaucratic. FEMA, overwhelmed and underfunded, struggles to allocate aid fast enough to meet the rising demand. The real cost isn't just economic, it's psychological. Children growing up surrounded by sandbags and evacuation drills now associate rain not with play but with panic. Elderly residents trapped in upper floors wait helplessly as boats rescue their neighbors below. Volunteers work around the clock building makeshift levees, delivering food, and risking their own safety to save others. And while the water may eventually recede, the trauma stays, etching fear into every storm cloud. This isn't just a weather problem, it's a national security threat. Supply chains are disrupted, power grids are compromised, and hospitals are frequently cut off from the patients they're meant to serve. The American economy can't thrive if its communities are drowning. Despite all this, climate denial still echoes in politics, delaying meaningful legislation that could fund green infrastructure, resilient urban planning, and emissions reduction strategies. Experts agree that without swift, bold action, floods will become even more destructive, and the United States will face yearly catastrophes costing billions in taxpayer dollars and untold lives. On the front line, communities are trying to adapt, with cities like New Orleans investing in sponge parks, elevated roads, and advanced drainage systems, but the scale of change needed is massive. Even modern metropolises like New York aren't safe. Subways flooded in minutes during a recent summer storm, trapping commuters and halting transport across boroughs. It's clear, nature is moving faster than policy. Families in Tennessee now keep emergency go-bags by the door. Schools in Louisiana conduct flood drills alongside fire drills. Grocery stores in Iowa struggle to restock after supply routes wash out. And still, the storms keep coming. As viewers watch this, someone in America is sandbagging their porch, someone else is booking a last-minute motel after their home was declared unlivable, and another person is standing on their roof, waving for a helicopter. These are not the stories of distant lands, they are unfolding on Main Street, in small-town diners, suburban subdivisions, and city centers. And the media, often distracted by politics or celebrity gossip, leaving these stories buried under more clickable headlines. But behind each of these floods is a family shattered, a community broken, a future lost to water. The saddest part is that many of these disasters were predicted years ago by environmental scientists, urban planners, and weather experts, but ignored in favor of short-term development or economic gains. Now, we pay the price. In a land as powerful and technologically advanced as the United States, it feels shocking to see so many families relying on rescue boats and bottled water. This isn't just a matter of nature going wild. It's about decades of ignored warnings catching up to us. While climate change accelerates, adaptation lags. And as temperatures continue to rise, the frequency and intensity of these floods will only increase. There is no longer a safe zone. From the Carolinas to Colorado, flood risks are rising fast. Americans must now ask the hard questions. Where is safe to live, how to protect loved ones, and whether our leaders are doing enough. Communities that once laughed off weather reports now tune in with fear, and people once skeptical of climate science are facing undeniable proof at their doorstep. The time for passive awareness is over. This is the age of climate consequence. If we continue business as usual, the 2025 floods will look tame compared to what's coming. But there's still a chance to change the story, to prepare smarter, invest better, and protect what matters most before it's too late. Every viewer has a role to play, whether it's voting for change, supporting local climate efforts, or simply understanding that these headlines are more than just news, they're a warning. Watch till the end, because missing this moment might mean missing the wake-up call we can't afford to ignore.